morning, children. Welcome back to your chemistry class. So today we shall begin with Aufbau principle. In the last video we had done Pauli's exclusion principle, and today we shall do the Aufbau principle. Now we know that any atom or ion has its electron where in the orbitals, and today we shall learn how to do the filling of these electrons in the different orbitals. Okay. So coming to Aufbau principle, you must be wondering, Aufbau is a scientist. No, Aufbau is a German word which means building up. Okay, what does this Aufbau word mean? It means building up, right? So this principle gives us a sequence in which various subshells, they are filled with the electrons. Okay, and this Aufbau principle was actually given by Bohr, and therefore it is called as Bohr-Bury principle as well. But yes, this principle was compiled by Simon. So the sequence in which the various subshells, they are filled up, it only depends on the relative order of the energy of the subshells. So let us understand what does Aufbau principle state. So Aufbau principle, according to this, it means that in the ground state of an atom, the electron will always enter into the available orbital in the increasing order of energies and fill up the orbitals of the lower energy first. So I write down the principle over here. What did I say? That in the ground state of an atom, let me rub this, of an atom, the electrons enter into the available orbital in the increasing order of energies. Okay, and fill up the orbitals of lower energy first. So what does this mean? That the subshell with the minimum energy will be filled up first, and when this obtains the maximum quota of electrons, then only the next subshell of higher energy starts filling up. I hope this is very clear. So this Aufbau principle, it follows a rule. What is that rule? Now today we are going to study in detail everything about Aufbau's principle, that is the sequence in which the various subshells, they are filled. But before explaining you the sequence, I would first like to do a little revision with you. Then only this will be very clear to you. So before we study the sequence in which these various subshells, they are filled up, let us first understand that there is an atom. Clear? This atom, it has a shell. The shell can also be called as an orbit. This is very clear. This orbit or a shell, it has a subshell. Okay. Now all those who are confused, you please try to remove your confusion from here. An atom, it has a shell or an orbit. That shell and orbit has a subshell, and that subshell has a orbital where you find the electrons. Okay, so what are these shells? Let us talk about shells. To go more clear about it, they are K, L, M, N and so on, also numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this you have already studied. Recollect, these are called as shells. Now talking about subshells. What are subshells? When I say subshells, we are talking about S, P, D, F, G, H and so on. These are called as the subshells. Now in your book, or maybe we all study only till F. S-P-D-F. But the subshell also goes ahead to G-H-I-J-K because number of shell increases, then number of subshell also increases. Is that clear? Then next, coming to orbitals. Now I'm going to tell you in detail in which subshell how many orbitals are there, and in those orbitals we already know that 2 electrons at the most they are present in the opposite spin. This is all what we had studied till now. Okay, so let me write down over here. Firstly about subshells, then I'll write about the orbitals, and then about the maximum electrons that are present in each. So let's talk about which subshell first. S. How many orbitals are present? As you know, only one orbital is present, and in one orbital I told you 2 electrons with the opposite spin. So how many electrons present over here? Just 2 electrons. Now come to P. P has how many orbitals? 3 orbitals. Px, Py, Pz, if you remember, each having 2 electrons. So maximum how many electrons can be found in P subshell? That is 2, 2, 2 makes it 6. Okay. Now coming to D subshell. D subshell, how many orbitals are found here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 orbitals. 5 2s are 10 electrons maximum can be found in the D subshell with the orbitals this. Okay, now coming to F. F has how many orbitals? 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So how many electrons maximum can be accommodated in F? That is 14. Now since you have to study till F, but you should have a knowledge as to what I am talking about. I said we'll go to G and H. So let us see the G subshell. Now how many orbitals are you going to find in G subshell? Now look at the orbital. Look at the sequence over here. You have 1, you have 3, you have 5, you have 7. So difference of 2. So if we have 7 orbitals in the F subshell, then G will have how many? 9. Okay, so divide this into 9 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 orbitals are there. So how many electrons maximum can that G subshell accommodate? 9 2s are 18 electrons. Similarly, you can go to H. H subshell will have how many? 11 orbitals, and 11 2s are 22 electrons will be maximum put into H subshell. So, but we have to study only till F because till here only all the electrons get accommodated. We are not going to move to G and H. That is just to explain you that you don't have to just think that there are only 4 subshells. There can be many subshells as number of shell keeps on increasing. Till here I hope everything is very clear. Okay, then okay, now let us understand that in each shell, how many subshells are there and what type of subshells are found there. Okay, this is also very important to be understood. So I'm writing over here number of shells. Okay, then each shell has how many number of subshells. Now once you understand all this, then you know Aufbau's sequence will be very simple. The sequence of the subshells and how they have to be filled up, it will be very simple. So firstly we need to know the number of shells, and each shell has how many number of subshells, and then the types of subshells. Okay, so let's come over here. If there is one shell, then number of subshells are also 1. That means the number of shells will always be equal to number of subshells. This I am telling you. So what type of subshell will be found over here? Only one type of subshell will be found, that is your S. Now there are 2 shells. So how many number of subshells will be there? 2 number of subshells will be there. So what are those 2 subshells? That is your S and your P subshell will be found over here. Okay, so it is 1S 2s, 2p. You getting it? Then coming to third shell. How many subshell? 3 subshell. So what are those 3 subshell? S, P, D. So 3s, 3p, 3d. Okay. Then coming to the fourth subshell. Sorry, coming to the fourth shell. How many subshells? 4 subshells. What are those? S, P, D and F, right? If we talk about the fifth shell, then how many subshells? 5 subshells. What are those 5 subshells? Now you tell to yourself. S, P, D, F, G and so on. Now this is very clear to you. Number of shells will always be equal to number of subshells, and then each you can find out the types of subshells that are found over there. Now let us arrange the order of filling of the various subshells. Okay. Now here I am going to give you a pattern also to understand. So let me write it down first over here for you, and then I'll explain. 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s. Okay. Then P starts from where? 2. So 2p, 3p, 4p, 5p, 6p, 7p. Okay. Then D starts from where? 3. So 3d, 4d, 5d, 6d. F starts from where? 4. 4f, 5f. Now since you studied till F, so I'm showing it to you only till F. Okay. So now the sequence of filling up the subshells is like this. First I'll make the arrow for you, and then I will show you which one is going to. You can learn it like this. It's very simple. This now I'll give you a very easy method of learning it. Okay. So now which one is going to be filled up after what? So over here if you see 1s, then it will go to 2s. After 2s it will go to 2p, 3s. After 3s it will go to 3p, 4s. After 4s it will go to 3d, 4p, 5s. After 5s it will go to 4d, 5p, 6s. And then after 6s it will go to 4f, 5d, 6p, 7s. And after that it will come to 5f, 6d, 7p and 8s. So it starts from here and it ends over here. Isn't it simple? Okay. Now to learn it in still more simpler form. Okay. So I will tell you how. You learn a sequence. Okay. You learn a sequence. Now how should I write? Oh, I'll write it over here. School, school, public, school, public, school, DPS, DPS, foreign, DPS, foreign, DPS. Okay, can you learn this? I'll show it to you over here also. Just try to understand the sequence. School, school, public school, public school, DPS, DPS, foreign DPS, foreign DPS. Okay, now let us fill up. First we'll fill up all the S. Now S is what? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now P. P starts from 2. So let's start from here. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have filled up what? S we have filled up, P we have filled up. Now let's go to D. D starts from where? 3. So let's start. 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D. Okay. Now we finished with the D. Now let's start with the F. F starts from where? 4. So let's start. Where is F? F, 4F, 5F. Okay. Now I put a comma here. And let us see if we are correct with the sequence. So 1S, 2S, 2P, 3S, 3P, 4S, 3D, 4P, 5S, 4D, 5P, 6S, 4F, 5D, 6P, 7S, 5S, 5F, 6D, 7P, 8S. See, we got the sequence over here. Is this clear to all of you? How you can learn the sequence? It is very simple. Either you learn it like this. See, 1 to 8, then 2 to 7, then 3D, then 4F, and you go on making these lines. Or to simply understand it like this, what did I say? School, school, public school, public school. DPS, DPS, foreign DPS, foreign DPS. And since you know from where you have to write down the numbers, you write it down and you get the sequence. Now when you're going to do it twice and thrice, all this you will forget your school. You will just learn 1S, 2, 2S, 2, 2P6, 3S, 2, 3P6, 4S2. This way it will be on your tip of your tongue. Okay. So this sequence in which the various subshells are filled up, they can also be determined by what formula I told you. It is N plus L rule, okay, or the N plus L value for the given subshell. So the subshell with the lowest N plus L value will be filled up first, and when two or more subshells have the same N plus L value, then the subshell with the lowest value of N will be filled up first. I hope this is very clear to you. So this is called as Aufbau's principle over here, and this array, it is called as Simon's array because he had actually compiled all this together. This was given by Bohr, and therefore it is also called as Bohr-Bury principle and also termed as Aufbau principle. Why? Because Aufbau word means building up. So building up the whole sequence, therefore it is called as Aufbau's principle. Okay. Now let us fill in the electrons that are present. We have already studied the number of electrons. So now fill up the electrons. 1s2, 2s2, 2p, how many? 6, 3s2, 3p, 6, 4s2, 3d, how many? 10, 4p, 6, 5s2, 4d, 10, 5p, 6, 6s2, 4f, 14, 5d, 10, 6p, 6, 7s2, 5f, 14, 6d, 10, 7p, 6 and 8s2. So this is how we learn the sequence. You know the number of maximum electrons present in each subshell, so you just have to fill it up. So now when you learn this, it goes very easy. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d10, 4p6, 5s2, 4d10, 5p6, 6s2, 4f14, 5d10, 6p6, 7s2, 5f14, 6d10, 7p6, 8s2. So this was all about your Aufbau's principle. So we studied till here. Hund's rule, I'll come to you with it in my next video. Thank you.